Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Personal Beauty. I'm your host, Shannon, as always, and today I've got a really fun episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about a few more ways to not only stay cool in this crazy summer heat, but also how to keep your makeup from slipping and sliding around. So if you guys are anything like me and you like to wear a little bit of makeup, whether it's just out for work or whether you guys are going out for a date night or something like that, in this heat, it can be a little bit problematic. Especially if you tend to sweat in the T-zone of the face or just underneath the eyes, things like that. Makeup typically is oil-based, and even if it's water-based, it has a tendency to split. What that kind of means for those of you guys that aren't avid makeup wearers is that the makeup will start to become more visible. This gives the appearance of a cake face or looking a bit cakey. You might also notice that specifically a couple areas that crease would be right around the mouth line here and right underneath the eyes. So today we're going to be talking about a couple ways to avoid all of that. I think for me, one of the biggest problems would probably be trying to prevent my mascara from becoming all over the bottom of my eyelids. For me especially, my eyelashes are quite long, so even if I have the best mascara on, if it's not waterproof and I'm out and about and I'm sweating and moving around, every time I blink, it's actually going to get all along my lower lash line and kind of look a little bit darker, which I don't necessarily prefer. I mean, some people might be into that, but not necessarily my thing. So we're going to talk about a couple tips and tricks today to avoid all of that. If you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to drop it in the comment section down below. I will be reading the comments kind of as we go along. And I guess in the meantime, we'll just go ahead and say hi. Hello, everyone that's tuning in. Hello, Dad. My dad's in the chat. Hi, Mark. Hi, Nathan. Got a couple other faces in the chat today. Let's see. Hi, Koreanet. Your hair looks great. Thank you so much. I was going to say I actually went and got my hair done today. So I've actually changed the color a little bit. I got it cut. I feel really good. So thank you guys so much for the comments. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So a couple quick things about the makeup routine. It all kind of starts like Jenga blocks. If you don't have a really strong, solid foundation, then the whole thing is just going to kind of crumble. I've actually experienced this before and experimented with different ways to avoid it. But for example, like I said, makeup is either oil-based or water-based. If you use two products that are different bases, they will actually separate. So kind of like when you were a kid and you put the oil and the water in the jar together and they didn't mix together, makeup and foundation or makeup and skincare products can react the same way. So just make sure that you guys have things that are of the same sort of family. But for example, I would use a water-based product on my skin, like a very lightweight hydrating toner or something that is like a water-based moisturizer. And then I would try to put a foundation that is oil-based right on top of it. I didn't realize it at the time, but as I was kind of applying it, the makeup was actually getting picked up off my skin and onto the pad that I was using. So for this one, it actually didn't work. My makeup looked a mess after and I had to completely start over. But to avoid that, I would highly suggest starting with something that's really lightweight, absorbs really, really easily, and make sure that your makeup is compatible with your skincare. A really great option for you guys to start with, and this is something that I've noticed a lot in Korea as well, with makeup artists, and every time I've been on set and somebody does my makeup, they always start by removing whatever was on my face before, even if I already did my skincare. And they're just going to start with these big, cooling, soothing toner pads. There's a couple different brands that sell some like this. There's ones that are Cica-based, which is more for redness and inflammation in the skin, but there's also hyaluronic acid-based, things like that. I would strongly suggest going with something a little bit more soothing and something a little bit more hydrating. Because if your skin is already hydrated, those pores will be nice and tight, and then the makeup will sit really nicely on top as opposed to sinking and kind of molding itself to the crevices of the face. So always start with a solid skincare routine. Now, to kind of move things right along, we're going to talk about some of these amazing products right here in front of me. We're going to start with the basics. So when it comes to summertime makeup, something that you guys really might want to consider is actually not reaching for a full coverage foundation at all. For those of you guys that aren't really sure, full coverage foundation is kind of like those crazy videos you see when you swipe just once and it's like this perfect mattified tone. Lighter coverage is more like a BB cream or sort of like a tinted moisturizer. Instead of reaching for that full coverage foundation, I would probably get one of these. This is actually a waterproof tattoo grade concealer, which is great. So this is a tattoo waterproof scar concealer. I really want to try this one. I have a couple little tattoos and I almost want to see if it will cover them up. But of course, I am going to swatch this for you today. Anything waterproof is going to be beneficial for the summertime because this will not fall off if you are doing an outdoor photo shoot or you're at the beach, but also if you guys are sweating. First of all, I love this packaging. This is so cute. Looks very luxurious. I think this tone might be a little dark for me, but we'll go ahead and give it a go. This is the Ferencos. I've never seen this one before. All right, let's give it a go. Oh, that's actually a pretty good color match. So for concealers, you guys, you actually don't want this to be a perfect match to your skin tone. That would be more along the lines of foundation. With concealer, this is where you're going to put on to conceal spots or dark circles. So this is what you want to be a little bit lighter. A nice little rule of thumb is kind of go for like a banana shade if you tend to have more like purpley under eyes, because it has that yellow undertone, which, like I said before, when it comes to makeup, it's all about the color wheel. So try to look for the opposites. If you're like me and you have more of a pink tone base, you can try to find ones that have a little bit of a green or blue hue. Sometimes that'll help as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and blend this out a little bit. I just kind of want to see how it absorbs. I also want to see how well it does over the veins on my hands, because I'm actually very veiny. So let's just see. Okay, so right away, I actually really like the formula because it goes on very light, but it is really, really thick, which I actually think is a good thing. This means it's going to be like an all-day lasting sort of staying power one. One thing to look for when you're testing out products is how much it settles into the skin after a few minutes. So I am going to give this one a couple minutes on the skin, and then we'll come back to it and I'll show you guys how it looks. But like I said, for these summertime makeup looks, it's actually better to do less if you can. It's better to have skin that looks like skin, but it's normal, especially if you guys are in a very humid environment like it is here in Korea, for your pores to dilate and for your skin to be a little bit more moist in general, which is always going to make it harder no matter how hydrated you are for makeup to stick to. So make sure that you guys are trying to do a little bit less for the summertime. Let your skin breathe a little bit. I would suggest just focusing on the under eye area. You can do a little triangle shape if you want to help lift the face, but you can also focus on spots where you're a little bit red. I would say at most when I do concealer, it's under eyes, right around the nose, and then the occasional spot, and that's it. But usually that'll give you a more skin-like, natural, just kind of dewy finish. Not anything super heavy or mattified. So I can see you guys over here kind of sounding off in the comments. Let me see. This is the best summer makeup. Summer makeup. Oh yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying the tips. If you guys have any specific questions about how I apply makeup, how Koreans apply makeup, or if you're looking for something specific, feel free to drop it down below. I'd love to have a discussion. What's this eye makeup product? Do you have any smudges? So the eye makeup products I'm actually going to get to in just a moment. This particular one is actually a concealer. I'll show you guys how it's settling in just a moment. I want to use it in the water. So when it comes to waterproof makeup, there's a couple little things that I want to make you guys aware of, especially with concealer and stuff. So this kind is going to be what's considered water resistant. So I don't know if you guys can see it here in this camera, but for this one, that is a very like smooth finish. It looks almost completely silky. You really can't see like my pores or anything on my hand. So for reference, you can see a little bit of the tonal difference right there. I would say this actually looks really, really good. It does have a very thick matte finish. So if you guys don't like the feeling of heavy products, I would be very careful with that. I would also make sure that with thicker things that are waterproof, they are going to be a little bit like more adhesive to the skin or to the eyelashes or whatever. So make sure you're comfortable with the texture, but also make sure that you're blending things out really well. Because it is so thick, if you leave any harsh lines or edges, you're going to be able to see it, especially if you're in the water or if you start to sweat. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, that's a cool idea for photo shoots to wear anything without worrying about tattoos. Yes, so as long as I've been in Korea, a lot of times I do get asked to cover up tattoos. I don't have a lot, I just have some very, very small ones, but nonetheless, sometimes they could ask you to do that if you are in like a set environment or if you're just doing like a professional photo shoot. Let's see, it really doesn't get on the mask. I actually haven't tested this sort of transfer theory, but let's go ahead and do it now. So I have a black cotton t-shirt. Let's just see if it transfers. So we'll see if it gets on the mask here. Not so far. I think it looks good. Let me try to wipe. No, didn't really transfer. I would say that looks pretty good. So no, it won't get on your mask. This particular one anyway. Let's see. It's a must-have item when you go to a water park. Yes. So I think I haven't been to a water park in Korea in quite some time, but I did actually go to the lake this past weekend in Korea. They had one of those inflatable, how do I explain this? It was like an American Ninja Warrior obstacle course, and I kind of wish that I had had something like this because I felt like by the end of it I was looking rough. But definitely a must-have for the water park. Even in the heat, confident makeup. That's exactly right. Is the cushion really waterproof? Most cushions, no. I will say that the ones that I've tried don't tend to be waterproof, but the ones that tend to look a little bit better in the heat would be ones that are more BB creams, like something a little bit lighter. It looks more like skin, not the heavy foundation ones. As far as the products that are waterproof, this particular one is a concealer, not a cushion. I just realized I can digitally zoom in on your hand myself. Oh, cool. So zoom in, guys, if you can see that. That'd be awesome. Where is the mascara from that Sweetie mascara? Let's go ahead and just move on. We'll go ahead and talk about the mascara then. So this is the KOGL. KOGL is one of the more kind of up-and-coming brands as far as like makeup products in Korea. I've definitely recommended them for lash stuff before, especially to my clients at the clinic. I've recommended their lash serum. So this is actually just a mascara, but this is the perfect setting waterproof long and curl mascara. So I have kind of a funny story to tell about these. When I first came to Korea, obviously I had to, eventually I would run out of my products that I brought from home and I had to get the refills in Korea. So when I went and looked for mascaras, I just kind of picked one up because it wasn't even crossing my mind that there was like a waterproof one. And almost all the mascaras in Korea are waterproof. There's actually a reason behind this. The reason is because a lot of Koreans' eyelash types more straight. So to keep it kind of lifted and curled, they use a waterproof formula. I did not know this. So you can imagine my surprise when I couldn't get it off for like 3 days. If you guys are using waterproof mascaras, for example, make sure that you are using an oil-based remover, whether that's micellar water or like an oil cleanser or a balm. As long as it's oil-based, it should come off. Otherwise, good luck, because these things have the staying power of nothing I've ever seen before. So definitely make sure that you have a oil-based remover as well. Now getting down to the product, as far as the like brush, like the wand, the color and the texture and everything, I would say the wand is definitely my style. I kind of like this thinner wand. I don't tend to gravitate towards the really big fluffy ones. They tend to get all over because I'm a very messy makeup person. So for these tend to be more exaggeration for the length rather than for volume. But this is actually a good thing, especially for waterproof mascara, because if it clumps together on your lashes, it's going to feel very heavy. Like I said, guys, words to the wise, when it comes to waterproof stuff, make sure you have an oil-based remover on hand. But other than that, I can personally attest to how long this will stay on. I have taken many showers with waterproof mascara, didn't come off. So if I had to rate this as far as its staying power, I would say like 20 out of 10. The waterproof mascaras in Korea are fantastic, so definitely grab one of those. Next, we're going to kind of skip this little middle one here just for sake of time. I'll kind of blow that one out at the end. Let's go ahead and see. I'm so jealous of your eye makeup that doesn't smudge. I know, I'm actually really looking forward to products that aren't going to smudge quite as much because a lot of my like just regular mascaras and stuff tend to. Perfect look for hot and humid days. Makeup that's perfect even in the summer. A lake in Korea sounds like a beautiful holiday destination in the summer. Have you tried water skiing? I don't think I tried water skiing. I think I have tried wakeboarding before, and I'm not very good at it personally. But if you do have water sports, this is another product that you guys can use. So this is actually what I would call a setting powder. In Korean, this actually says blur powder. Blur powder packed. Try to say that 3 times fast. So right away, when you open it up, I love this packaging. I love this little puff. This is like a super vintage kind of feeling puff. I don't know if you guys ever had that sort of like air spun powder makeup when you were young or if you saw it in your mom's cabinet, but it feels very much like that and it looks very much like that. So this is not your average setting spray or setting powder, excuse me. So setting powders in general are meant to kind of prevent your makeup from smudging around. This one is not only meant for prevention of that, but it's also meant to, I think you guys can see that. It's also meant to soak up any excess oil on the skin. This includes things like sweat. So if you guys are out and about and you do start to sweat, especially like right here, I feel like this is where people tend to build it up. You can actually just tap a little bit of this on. Let's see if you guys can see that. And it will immediately start to blur away any sort of shininess. I think you guys can see that. I just took all the shine out of my skin. But that's because it's going to be absorbing the oil. So this is a really great way to just kind of reset your makeup or to prevent it from sliding and moving around, especially as you guys are out and about in the water or if you start to sweat. This is something that I actually don't have in my daily makeup routine, but I would recommend getting something like this. I do have a basic setting powder, which is often used for almost like a highlighter situation. Like you can use it as a reverse contour sort of thing. But with this one, this is just for staying, for absorbing moisture without having to use those little moisture like papers, you know what I'm talking about? This is a lot lighter. It's easy to carry around. It's super, super tiny. It's about the size of my like palm, for example. So definitely grab one of these. This is something more unique. I haven't actually tried this yet in my daily routine, but I will be taking this home with me and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Okay, so let's just move on to this next one. I do want to check in with the chat really quick. Don't tears smudge too. I hope you're not crying, but if you do, I will say that waterproof mascara would be the way to go for that. I think there's actually a video online or probably all over YouTube where you can check how like effective mascaras are for crying, the cry test. I don't think they should, but you do have a little bit more of a salt content in your tears, so I'm not sure how that would hold up. It's cheating that you're pretty even if you sweat. Oh, well, I guess thank you. That's very sweet. Even if that may be true, you still don't want to sweat through any of your makeup and create all these weird like lines and creases. That looks quite natural. I'm so glad you said that. So I really like the finish. Like I said, I don't like that overly glossy or overly matte feel, which is why for summer we want to go for something that's a lot more skin-like. Let's see, waterproof is the answer for summer. Absolutely. This product is also good for diet gyms. Yes. So if you guys do go to the gym, but you like to have a full face of makeup, then you guys can make sure that you're not showing your sweat through your face. I kind of a little bit of a tangent here, but I have actually heard that like when you wear makeup to the gym or when you look good at the gym, it helps you perform a little bit better. So you guys can maybe try that out and then try some of these products and let me know how it goes for you. The lip tint color is pretty and lasts long. Neat eye makeup without smudging is the best. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to this next one here. This is the Auto Gel Eyeliner Slim. Ooh, I am ready for this one. So I've actually never tried waterproof eyeliner before. I've definitely tried the mascaras, but this one I think terrifies me a little bit, just because with eyeliner I feel like one, just putting it on, to all the ladies out there, if you guys have seen that Ariana video where she just like, it's incredible. Putting it on has got to be one of the scariest things ever because they could be uneven and then your whole face is going to look like a raccoon. Anyway, but with this one, it's actually like a little pencil. Oh my gosh, that is lovely. I love that. Oh my gosh, it's so gel. I've never seen something like this before. That's what it says, gel eyeliner. Wow, that is amazing. I definitely want to grab one of these. Is this really waterproof? Oh, that's so cool. I don't know if you guys can see it. Zoom in. I'm going to try to make a little eyebrow. Oh no, I broke it. Don't break it. Don't push too hard. Anyway, it's occurring to me now that I'm drawing all over my hand and I might not be able to get it off. This is a waterproof eyeliner, so this would actually be a really good option because it's dark brown instead of black. If you guys are going to be going out and you are dancing around and you start to sweat, this would be a really good way to prevent it from coming off. Also, if you do like that sort of stronger eye look, this would be a really great option for you. For photo shoots, for if you're at the pool or at the beach, definitely give this one a try. I think I'm the most excited about this because I haven't seen a pencil gel type eyeliner that's also waterproof. This is really cool. I would say that most of the eyeliners that I'm familiar with that are waterproof tend to be very like liquidy. They come out on like a little paintbrush. This is awesome though. I love how light it is. I love how easy it is. Clearly doesn't smudge at all. That is crazy. Look at that. Wow, awesome. Yeah, 10 out of 10 so far. I definitely will keep this and let you guys know how it goes. Let's see, is waterproof eyeliner a must-have for you in the summer, or do you skip it altogether? I've never tried it, but if it does work as well as it seems like it does, then it will be part of my routine. You get to take the products home sometimes. Sometimes. I will ask, just so I can test them out and see how it goes. Today's diary is a shopping basket. Yeah, that's definitely true. Skin that doesn't break down with sweat is a dream. Yes, so we obviously want to make sure that we are being healthy with our skincare, but also making sure that if you do want to wear makeup and stuff, that it's not going to smudge and move around, because that kind of defeats the whole purpose. It's actually supposed to boost your confidence, but if you come out looking like a swap monster, it's going to be crazy. So let's go ahead and move on to this last product. This is the Holy Grail. This is one of my all-time favorites. I actually love this one. So I have used this one many, many times before. This is a setting spray. And this is actually a little bit of an important note. It's really important to make a distinction between setting spray and refreshing spray, or hydration spray or something like that, or fixing spray, I think it's called, because one of them is alcohol based and the other one is not. If you go to Olive Young and you grab like the Skin 1004 refreshing spray or hydration spray, that one is almost only hyaluronic acid or water-based products. So if you are wearing an oil-based product, it's going to split your makeup. So be very careful with that. This one is a setting spray. So setting spray is something that's meant to be applied after you put on all of your makeup. I don't know if you guys can see that. There it goes. Look at that. The atomizer is great. It's lovely. Anyway, so the setting spray is meant to be applied after you finish your makeup, because the alcohol molecules are going to stick to the makeup and help everything to just stay absorbed into your skin rather than moving around. So if you already have a waterproof base, and then you're putting a alcohol base on top of it, the alcohol is gonna dry down and kind of act like glue and stick it to your skin. So let's just see how it feels. Oh, that's nice. It says so natural for your skin. All day tight makeup setting fix. Nice. The powder room is every time, everywhere, from the skin to image, and it will change with trends. It's a beauty trend cosmetic. All right. So I guess like this says, it's going to actually stick with you everywhere. I like how it's travel size. It's actually quite small. So you would theoretically be able to just throw this in your bag and kind of refresh throughout the day. I will say with these, it does have a little bit of a stronger smell, almost a bit like alcohol or like powder, for example. So just if you guys are sensitive to smells, make sure you're a little bit more careful with that. But this is a really great way to just stick your makeup on. That is kind of the last punch that's going to help it to be waterproof. If you guys are going to get all these waterproof products, or if you just want to help to secure your regular makeup products, grab one of these. These are actually in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Just make sure that it says setting spray and not like hydration or just, nourishing spray. But I think that's all for today. I've gone ahead and successfully made a mess once again. But I do feel refreshed, and I feel very waterproof according to all of these lovely products here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. Let's see what you guys have to say, and then we'll go ahead and sign off. Great info, such detail. Do you apply setting spray before or after powder, or both? That's actually a fantastic question, Dano. So when you're doing setting spray, I would say apply it to the areas that feel a little bit more sticky. So for example, I would apply setting spray with concealer, and then I would do the rest of my makeup, and then I would apply it again. This is because the concealer tends to wear down the quickest, but it's usually the most important for making you look a little bit more well-rested, useful, glowy, and it's hiding the things that you want to hide, right? So I would say I put it on after concealer, and then also after any sort of powder. Powders will, of course, wear off the quickest, so make sure that you're using it after that. I want non-stick makeup. By non-stick, do you mean non-transfer? I would be able to give you some tips on that a little bit later. Maybe in a future episode, we can do tints versus like glosses, for example, things that don't transfer onto surfaces. I want to test the durability of these products. Well, you know where to get them. Thank you for the great show as always. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your guys' support, your questions, your engagement. Thank you guys so much for supporting Koreanet as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you guys so much. Mwah. See you next time. Bye.